So with the new update coming very soon, I might as well talk about something that has been on my mind for a long time, but I have yet to actually say about it, and that is really to do with the Italians, because for those who don't know, the Italians and the British should be quote-unquote in their own country, but after playing a few games with quote-unquote Italy, which is, to be honest, the United Axis Front, I realized how bad the Italians are actually being represented in Enlisted. And without further ado, let's just get started. The first thing that most people will notice is the Italian uniforms. Now, you will be wondering, well, the Italian uniforms, like most uniforms, are pretty bad. Most notably, the other one that stands out as pretty bad uniforms are the American uniforms in the Ardennes, which, although looks good, historically isn't the point. And where we're being on the historical point, I have to talk about the Italian uniforms from the tech tree. So for those who don't know, Italy has only one set of uniforms, and that is the ones in Tunisia. So you are right, the Italian army in Stalingrad, which actually existed, didn't have uniforms. The Italian army in Rajev doesn't have uniforms, and the Italian army in the Eastern Front in general doesn't have any uniforms, and of course the Italian army in Normandy or the Ardennes doesn't have uniforms, which actually makes sense. The rest, the Italian army in the Soviet Union, which was an actual thing called the Italian army in Russia, or Armata Italiana in Russia, ARMIR, was part of the Regio Escrito, part of the Eastern Front of the Italian war operation supporting the Germans in World War II. It was eventually destroyed at the Battle of Stalingrad, which should come as no surprise, except for Enlisted, and if you know history, then you will realize that the Italians were in Stalingrad. The issue for Enlisted is the fact that it has zero representation in Stalingrad. So that's great. Although Romanian and Italian troops were part of the battle line, the Italians Enlisted appears to forget about the Italians. And what makes it worse is that instead of having Italian tropical uniforms, which is horrific enough if you put it in essentially Stalingrad or Rajev or Berlin, you have Italian soldiers wearing German uniform, which is above all horrific. They are still saying Italian, which is great, but the issue for me is that it takes the immersion away. I am playing as the Italians with the Beretta M1 and with the Beretta Mod 30, and the issue is that I'm running around in German uniforms shouting in Italian. For those who don't know, the Italian army in Russia was arguably one of the best Italian armies in the field. The only issue was that when the German high command saw it, they were horrified by the quote-unquote lack of preparedness. Needless to say, what I'm trying to get at is that Italy should have its own uniforms. And just beyond that, I also have to say that I do think Italy needs a lot more stuff. Recently, we got a lot of stuff for the Japanese, which is good, but I do think Japan and quote-unquote minor nations, which Japan is unfortunately treated as one, should get a lot of more stuff, which is funny considering the fact that out of all the minor nations, Japan has an actual tech tree. The British arguably have more stuff, and at the same time less stuff than the Japanese in the sense that they don't even have a tech tree, and the Italians are pretty much in the same boat except for worse than the British. You see, at least the British have winter uniforms in the Battle of the Ardennes. What made it worse is that although the British army wasn't at all present in the Battle of Guadalcanal, they did have some troops, and Enlisted is justifying that as troops in the entire Guadalcanal campaign, which is, if you ask me, it's perfectly fine. My question is, why is Italy not being representative in battles like Stalingrad, Rajev, or Moscow, considering the fact that they did send an entire army to the Eastern Front? And don't even get me started on the Romanians or the Hungarians, because I do think, besides two planes, one of which was technically locked behind a paywall for a long time, you only get two squads that don't even speak Romanian. Congratulations, Enlisted, thank you. It goes a lot to say that Enlisted should add a lot of these quote-unquote minor nations, considering that the fact that Germany is pretty much full, and there's not a lot of stuff you can add for the Germans. So what I do think Enlisted should do is to do a lot more stuff for like Italy, and why not? They have nothing to lose, and they have everything to gain. So that's that. That said, without further ado, this is my thoughts and suggestions. Of course, this is not only a rant about the Italian situation in Enlisted, which is abysmal, it is also a rant about we should get our own tech tree for the British situation and the Italian situation, flush out the Japanese tech tree, which is already a lot, and then make sure the uniforms that Enlisted has in general is accurate. From what I've been told, it's a little bit horrific. So, that's that. Without further ado, this is all it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and comment in the comment section down below what do you guys think. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.